Hi everyone, my name is Kat, or the Fairy Librarian, and welcome back to a new video. Today I will be wrapping up all the books I read in May. I know it's already October, but I wanted to do this anyway, so I'm just gonna do it. So let's start off with some stats. In the month of May, I read 7 books, good for a total of 1,937 pages. 5 of those books I read in Dutch, 2 I read in English. In terms of genre, I had 3 fantasy books, 1 historical fiction, 1 literary fiction, 1 romance, and 1 just general speculative. I didn't really know where I would put it in, so I just put speculative because it didn't really neatly fit in one genre. All of these 7 books were adult. In terms of rating, I have 2 DNFs, 1 1.5 star, 2 4 stars, and 2 5 stars. Some hits, some misses. Let's get into them. I'll go over all the books. I'll start off with my DNFs and then just rank them from my least favorite to my most favorite. So my first DNF is Lapfona by Otessa Moshfegh. This book is very well written, and I can see why people like it, but it was just too dark for me, and I didn't want to read that. At the time, I was like, maybe I'll pick it up later, but being realistic, I don't think that will happen. But I can see why other people enjoy this. It's not a bad book by any means. It just wasn't for me. My second DNF is The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker. I've been struggling with Greek myth retellings, but I really liked this one at first. And it's not like I disliked it, I just lost interest. This is one that I do want to try again at some point. But it's told from the perspective of Briseis, who was captured by the Greeks, who was a Trojan, and had to serve Achilles as his slave. So it really shows the hard times that she has to go through and the realities of the situation that she's in. And I thought that was very well done. I know some people don't like the use of modern language in here and it pulls them out of the story. I didn't feel that, but I understand that that is a thing that can happen. So, but yeah, this was a good book, I think. But I just at the time lost interest. But I do want to try this one again in the future. Then the 7 books that I did finish. First up, I have Revenge by Ange and Thierry Demary, which is the second album in the Marie of the Dragon series. It's a comic. It's a historical fantasy, sort of sword and sorcery type of thing, about an assassin called Marie who is assigned a very special task. I thought the first album was fine. I didn't love it, didn't hate it. I wanted to see where it was going because it was a lot of setup. Unfortunately, I did not love this. It was quite disappointing, actually. So the story was just very confusing and very messy in general. There was at one point where the group was split up and we were switching back and forth between the 2 places, and it took a really long time before I even realized that the group had split up and they were in two different locations, because they looked exactly the same in the background. So I just thought it was like a different angle or something of the same scene. At some point, it was kind of hard to tell what was going on, because it was so messy and so chaotic. I didn't like it. Also, just a lot of the panels felt very male gazy, for no real reason, which I also didn't love. I didn't like it. I like the art style. Also, the plot itself. It was like they went from point A straight to point C, but they skipped point B, and it was just a very confusing and messy read. And I didn't like it, and I really don't want to continue the series anymore. I gave this 1.5 star. Then I read The Light Fantastic, which is the second book in the Discworld series. This was fun. I don't really have a ton to say about this one. Just sort of like, it was a fun time. From what I've heard, this is not people's favorite Discworld book. It's sort of the consensus that these first few aren't the best. But I'm quite enjoying them. I haven't read any of the other ones. I am going in publication order. But I really enjoyed this. I had some of the laugh out loud moments. So yeah, this was fun. I don't know what else to say. I gave it 4 stars. Then I also read The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. This is the first book in the Bridgerton series. I also really enjoyed this. I had heard that there were some consent issues in like every one of these books. And yes, they were there, but I think because I was prepared for them, it was fine. Like, they were not as bad as I expected. Because like they were addressed in the book, which I didn't expect. So at least it had that going for it. It doesn't say it's good or romantic, but at least it's addressed. And also these are older romances, so you can't expect them to be great. But I really liked the characters. Simon is not someone I would want to be around in real life, but just being in his head and knowing his background and stuff, I really liked him. But my favorite part of this was the family dynamics within the Bridgerton family. They just love each other so deeply, and the banter between them, I love it. I give this 5 stars. I had a really fun time. Then on second place for the month is The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. This is the first book in a fantasy trilogy about the daughter of the emperor who has memory loss, and so the emperor won't teach her the bone shard magic, which in this world every inhabitant of the kingdom has to give a little bone shard to the emperor, which the emperor can then use to power constructs to do various tasks. This was a fantasy, but it had some genre blendy elements to it. The way the magic works is really reminiscent of computer coding. So we sort of had some sci-fi elements-ish in it, which I really enjoyed. I really liked the characters in this. We obviously have Lynn, but she was actually my least favorite POV. I felt that a lot of the story, she wasn't really going anywhere, and that we just kept going in circles and stay at the same place. But the other POVs I liked a lot more. There was Sand, who wasn't in it a lot, but she made other POVs really interesting and added a layer of intrigue to those other POVs, which I really liked. I really wanna learn more about her. Then Jovis was great. He has this animal companion called Methy, who I loved. And just like Jovis, the thing is, he doesn't want to be a good person. He just want to find his wife. And he doesn't want to be a good person. He doesn't want to be a hero. But he is. And I loved it. I love him. He's great. His storyline left off in a very interesting place as well. And then you had like Failure or Failure. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Her little plot line was a rebellion story, which I always like. So no, I really enjoyed it. It was very compulsively readable. And it left off in a very interesting place, and I really need to know what happens next. I gave The Bone to Your Daughter 4 stars. And then my favorite book of the month is another comic, and that is The Pink Clover by Didier Chris and Christian Paty. This is set in Ireland, and it's about a group of sheep, and they live on a little meadow behind the church. That is also the name of the series. And every day they hear these bells ring from the sky, and then this pastor comes out of the building and brings divine treats. So they have drawn the only logical conclusion, and that this pastor is indeed God. But then one day the pastor doesn't come anymore, or just isn't there, and there's sort of this crisis among the sheep, like, what do we do? Have we done something wrong? And have we angered this God? And then you have like some power struggles among the sheep, of like some who claim that they know the answer to this, or they're the new God or whatever, and then others who go against it. And it's so delightful. But my favorite part about this was the art style. It was so beautiful, like so beautiful. I had a library copy, so I don't have it with me anymore. I would show you some, but it was absolutely gorgeous. And I can't wait for the second album in this series to be translated to Dutch. It's out in French, which is the original language. Like, there's sort of contained stories every time, so we did have a resolution to this one story, but I want to know what else is going to happen with these sheep. And there's like a little squirrel who lives in the tree on the meadow, and there's an owl who lives in that same tree, and it's so much fun. So yeah, I gave this 5 stars. I love this. So that was my reading month. Have you read any of these books, and what did you think of them? What was your favorite book you read in May, if you still remember, because it's a really long time ago? And so yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again in another one. Bye.